Welcome everybody. To our esteemed families. We're so glad that you could all come and make it to join as we celebrate and demonstrate what we've learned in Rashi this year. The process that brought us to where we are today involved a lot of hard work, and all of the third graders invested a lot of themselves into it. And now we can see looking back that it was so well worth it as we've become more accomplished and more capable Torah learners. We started off the process of learning Rashi by learning about his incredible lifetime, paying close attention to the many lessons and midot tovot and kavod haTorah that Rashi exemplified. We switched gears later on and practiced with just the basic mechanics of learning to read and write and decode the Rashi text inside. And then we jumped right in with the psukim that we're learning, explaining them and delving a little bit deeper by looking at the Rashis and how he gave his perush on each of the psukim that we were learning. The first part of our program this morning highlights two themes that we've studied. And through the art of dance, the students have connected to the power of tefillah and the light of Torah. The first dance that that's going to be performed by 3C is called tefillah. There have been many instances of tefillah through the psukim that we've learned about, starting with the Eliezer's tefillah, asking Hashem that he should help send the right wife right away for Yitzchak. And then moving on to the tefillah of Yitzchak Avinu that he set up, tefillah mincha, as he went out to converse with Hashem before evening. And the last tefillah that we talked about in our Torah studies was the tefillah of Yitzchak and Rivka as they were davening to Hashem to be blessed with conceiving a child. The second dance that we're going to be watching is from 3A, and that is called Or Chadash, or meaning light in Hebrew, because there's a story told about Rabbi Yitzchak, who was the father of Rashi HaKadosh. He was a very poor man, and as the kids can tell you, or might already have, he one time found a very precious gem. And he was very excited because he knew that through this gem he'd be able to sell it and live off of the profits for generations to come. He went to the local jeweler in town and found that it was worth way too much for the jeweler to afford. And the jeweler sent him over to the bishop and said the bishop would love to buy it. When he approached the bishop was so excited, he said, "I'll pay any price to be able to put that gem on my cross." And when Rav Yitzchak heard what the bishop had intended to use it for, he thought to himself, I can't sell this to the bishop. But he knew that the bishop would probably take it from him by force if he wasn't going to sell it to him. So he threw it into the sea, which is a pretty risky thing to do. And it's brought down that a heavenly voice called out to him and said at that time, because of your great sacrifice of throwing away this precious gem, this light, you are going to be blessed with a child who's going to fill the world with light. And as we know, just several months later, about 10 I suppose, he was blessed with a son, Rabbi Shlomo ben Yitzchak, as we call Rashi. He filled the world with light. He filled the world with light because of the Torah that he taught to everybody, because of the hope that he gave everybody through the dark ages in which they were living. And generations later, the light of his Torah is still present and still lighting up the lives of all the Jewish people who learn the Torah and are able to get a better understanding of what Hashem had intended for us to learn from the texts. I couldn't introduce the dances without first thanking Mrs. Tamar Epstein, who worked so hard with students, teaching them these dances. We had a great time and are very appreciative to all of your hard work. And just fast forwarding a little bit, after the dances, we're going to be working on reading our Divrei Torah with our families, which we could not have done without the help of Mrs. Orit Fulton and Laura Hannah Cohen. Thank you very much. And with that, please enjoy the show.
ישנם לילות שניטעות בך תקוות, ישנם ימים בהם שוקעים בחלומות, ישנן תקופות שונות של שקט ושלווה, יש לפעמים בך אוחזת אשליה. עוד מעט תיפתח הדלת, ייעלמו העננים, עוד מעט תעלה השמש, אור חדש לך יאיר פנים. אתה בטוח הוא מרים שוב את ראשך, נכון לרגע בו תגיע שעתך, וכשהלילה מתקרב אתה נכנע, ומחדש תולה תקוות ביום הבא. עוד מעט תיפתח הדלת, ייעלמו העננים, עוד מעט תעלה השמש, אור חדש לך יאיר פנים.
אני באמת לא מבין את הפסוק הזה. הוא כל כך, כשמה אני עושה? איך אפשר לדעת מה כתוב?
I really don't understand this pasuk. It is very difficult. What should I do? How can one understand what is written?
מה קרה? למה אתה כל כך מתוסכל? What is wrong? Why are you so frustrated?
תרגע, תסתכל ברש"י, רמב"ם, הם יעזרו לך. Chill, did you look at Rashi or Rambam? They will help you understand.
להסתכל במי? זה רש"י. על מה אתה מדבר? מי האנשים האלה? אף פעם לא שמעתי עליהם.
See, look at him. Who is Rashi? What are you speaking about? Who are those people? I've never heard of them.
נכון, הם עוד לא נולדו, they're not born. אנחנו עדיין בחשיכה, we're still in the dark, the Middle Ages. רגע, חכה, מה זה האור שם? מה השנה עכשיו? Wait, hold on, where's that light come from? What's the front here? הרבה אגדות מספרות על רש"י. שלמה בן יצחק נולד בשנת 1040, לפני 9 מאות ו71 שנים. איזה אור קראו האנשים שנולד רש"י? באמת, רש"י, פרשן התורה, העביר לעם היהודי את אור ההבנה, את ההסברים הפשוטים, אבל מפרקים מכל כך הרבה דברים שאנחנו לא מבינים.
Numerous legends told about Rashi. Shlomo ben Yitzchak was born in the year 1040, 971 years ago. What a light, people called when Rashi was born. And in fact, Rashi, the Torah commentator, brought the light of understanding to the Jewish world with his simple but brilliant explanations for so many things difficult for us to understand. Shlomo ben Yitzchak גדל באותית ולדעת וידע להתנהג עם אנשים. בן שלו שלמד מפי אביו את האלף בן. Shlomo ben Yitzchak lived a rich and learned to deal with people. When he was 3, he studied the alphabet with his father.
Rabbi ידע את כל התפילות בעל פה. When he was 4, he knew all the tefillot by heart.
Being 5, למד תורה ונביאים. When he was 5, he studied Torah ונביאים.
בן 6 למד משנה וגמרא. בן 8 לא ישב ונדב על השאלות הקשות שמד התנ"ך ותלמוד.
When he was 6, he studied Mishnah and Gemara. When he was 8, he sat and wrote on the clock one of the difficult questions from the Tanakh and Talmud. Wrote on parchment is his questions about the Torah and Talmud. Isn't that like our age? Excellent. Shlomo, what are you doing? Lama tako tevet hadvarim. What are those things you're writing? כאשר גל אכתוב פירוש בתנ"ך ולתלמוד אם ירצה השם. אז אסתכל בקליונות הקלף האלה ואזכור מה הדברים הקשים לתלמיד צעיר. When I go along, I write commentaries for the Tanakh and Talmud with Hashem's help. When I look at those parchment scrolls, I remember the difficulty things for a young student. עברו כמה שנים ושלמה כבר בן 13. נסענו בתורה בפרופסיה שבגרמניה, עץ הרבנית של אנטון רבינו, גרשם מאור הגול, ומכתב משם הוא כותב. Some years passed when Shlomo was just 13. He went to study Torah in a region in Germany with rabbis that studied with Rabbi Gershom, the light of the exile, a famous Jewish rabbi of the 10th century. A letter from there he wrote. אני לומד ולומד ועוד עליי ללמוד תורה. התורה דומה למים גדול למים לאין סוף. I am studying and studying and others with me study and love. The Torah is like water and large sea where there is no end to the water. הוריי יקרים, אני רוצה להיות מורה. היהודים בתורה צרפת רוצים ללמוד את התורה. מי יסביר להם את התורה? מי שלא מבין את התורה דומה לעיוור שלא רואה את הדרך. ביבי אומר לי, לך והראה להם את הדרך. Dear parents, I want to be a teacher. Jews and Jews and friends and in other lands want to know the Torah. They will explain to them the Torah. He who does not know the Torah is like a blind that cannot see the way. Behold said to me, go and show them the way. וזה באמת קרה. שלמה בן יצחק הפך לרבי שלמה בן יצחק, כמו שכולנו מכירים אותו לרש"י. הוא התחתן וחזר לטרוזנפלד. שם הוא נולד ושם הייתה הישיבה הראשונה שלו. This really happened. Shlomo ben Yitzchak became Rabbi Shlomo Yitzchaki, or as all of us know him as Rashi. He got married at the church of Troyes in France. He was born there and his first yeshiva was there also. תלמידים מצרפת גם אני ואפילו פולין באו ללמוד את רש"י. נולדו לו 3 בנות. ביום הוא עבד ולימד ובלילה ישב וכתב. Students from France, Germany, as well as Poland came to study with Rashi. He had 3 daughters. ואחרי שנים של עבודה קשה גמר רש"י את שני פירושיו בתנ"ך ותלמוד בדיוק כמו שאמר. רש"י נפטר בשנת 1105, בן 65 שנים, אבל תורתו של רש"י ממשיכה לחיות אצל כולנו. After years of difficult work, Rashi finished 2 Perushim and Tanakh in the Talmud exactly as he did.
Rashi died in the year 1105. He was 65, but the works of Rashi continue to be alive amongst us.
New, Az lech tov be Rashi and Masha Kasher Lecha. So go from the works of Rashi. What is difficult for you?
I was at one of the second grade Chumash parties a few weeks ago, and one of the parents said to me that I am the lower school bubby. I come for all the nachas, and then I can leave. So I'm enjoying being a bubby, and I'm so glad I was here today because you guys were amazing. Even better than I was. And as I was getting ready to leave the house, I said, maybe I should take my shawl with me. Now, if this is a parent's first Rashi party, or the children have been to other Rashi parties, they might have heard this story. Now, why did I wear this shawl? Good question. Some of the kids know that my mother moved in with us a few years ago, and she brought some of her treasures with her. And one of the treasures in the box was this, actually it's a tablecloth. It's a small tablecloth. And I said, Mom, I never saw that before. And she told me that this tablecloth, which I'm wearing as a shawl, was on her family's table all week long when she was growing up. She grew up right down the street in Germany from a town which we know is being famous because of Rashi. Anyone know, any kids know the name of that town? What? Joyce was in France. Where else did Rashi live? Worms, right. It's spelled like worms, but we pronounce it in German, the W is a V. So my mother grew up right down the street, and when my husband was in the Army, the American Army, we lived in Germany for a while. We went to visit the town where my mother grew up, and of course, we went to Worms. We saw Rashi Shul. We saw his chair. It was very tall. And we saw the mikveh where he used to go. It was outside. It was very cold. Today, like today, it would have been really cold, but Rashi used it. And so I thought I would just bring it. I had it in the bag, and I figured I would just keep it because it's so important to remember. Eladim, when you talked about the fact that if we don't understand something in the Chumash, or later on when you learn Gemara, well, how do we get answers? How do we find something out? What do? We go to Rashi. What would Rashi say? And Rashi was really good at keeping his words short. He didn't talk on and on. And his children and his grandchildren were very, very famous commentators. They also explored, what did Rashi say? What did he mean? What does it mean for us? Now, when did Rashi die? Well, someone said it. When did Rashi die? Tell me. 1500. How many years ago was that? What year is it now? What year is it? Come on, tell me. Okay. So about how many years? Is it 50 years since he died? Is it up? Not quite 4,000. Think a little bit. Okay. You like to listen to this. He lived so long ago, and yet we still study him. When you open a Chumash, there's Rashi. You open a Gemara, who's there? Rashi. And you know what you are doing, Eladim? What are you doing? You are studying Rashi. And you're learning it with your parents. And Amir Hashem, one day, you will go with your children to their Rashi party. And you will remember that just a few years ago, you were a kid studying Rashi. And that's such a gift that you parents give and you grandparents give to your children. And it's such a bracha that we can celebrate this all together. Yashikol, Yiladim, Yashikol. All you mishpachot, it's really beautiful. And it's obviously my pleasure to introduce Mrs. Israel with her bag. Let's see what she has in there.
Thank you, Mrs. Koss. It's such a treat to have Mrs. Koss here with us. Yeladim, I have something special in my bag. And it's a certificate that says that you prepared, you already went through a parsha with, and you're learning your parsha with Rashi, and a certificate, and then you have also got a special keychain that when you drive a car when you're 16, you should use this keychain. and it's a special Rashi keychain that it's a key to open the Torah with Rashi. It's a really beautiful keychain, so I hope you'll use it for a very long time when you drive a car. Okay, so I would like to call up Yonah. There he is. Mazel tov. Shmuel. There he is. Eliana. There she comes. Chana Gimel. God bless you. And Dina's next. So Ada. This is a 21st century Rashi party here. Dina and Lee both Dr. Jesus. Okay, Levi. And get ready, Amalia. You're driving. Okay. Amalia, come on up, and Abraham is next. There you are. And your Kira's next. And get ready, Kaya. And Aaron is next. Mayor's after Aaron. Tamar, and next is Yael. Rina's after Yael. Rina and then Megan.
Too much meat can be
Hila's next. And then Ezra after Hila. Ariella and then Sana Men.
ready, ma'am. What's that? Are you ready, ma'am? Sure, ma'am.
Kol hakavod, Yolandi. I hope you're always as excited as you are today.
Okay, we just want to take a moment to give a huge hakara tov to the teachers and parents. So, where is Mrs. Gagga? There she is. Mrs. Gagga, we have delicious edible flowers for you. Thank you. And Laura Khana.
הסימנים לרוע, לפי שהיה
השיר